Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tales from a Professional Nerd, episode 29. We always like to begin the episode with a week in the life of Bryan. It's been an okay week. It's been busy. Lot of stuff getting ready for the holidays, and taking care of kids and just kind of taking care of regular life. Some not so great news. It seems like that the new job that my lovely bride had picked up is not really going to be beneficial to her illness. And so we ended up having to leave it, which sucks. It's a bummer, but she's still gonna look. She's gonna try and find something that will hopefully fit a little better with her disability, and move forward. And until that time, it is life as normal here in the nerd studio as it is. Let's see, as far as I'm concerned, let's see what else. What has Bryan done? Bryan's getting ready for game 2 of the family D&D game this weekend. Super excited about that. And I think the kids are too. I know their Uncle David is, but I think the kids might be excited about it too. And that's really kind of what this is all about, is giving them an option to do something with their imaginations, learn about rules, the way that I did, the way that role players grew up. And we'll get into this a little bit in the topic. It's a reason why this topic is this week. I signed on for a very cool Dungeon in a Box wondrous adventure, which I will be talking a little bit about here in a second, about the last wondrous adventure that we did. And I'm going to have a contest. Ooh, a contest! 3 things! All right, so let's see, what else happened in the week in Bryan? Aside from weird employment things, it's a pretty good week. It's just solid, tiring. It is what it is. The beginning of winter officially has started to creep upon us. We saw some actual snow last week, and it's threatening to do it again. So yeah, as things get colder and darker and things, my time in the studio tends to be shorter and shorter, because I don't like being in this tiny little cold space. But other than that, things are looking pretty all right. Other than that, as far as like, not getting as much sunshine as we were, and it's easy to fall into a weather-based funk. So I'm not going to let that happen, and you guys aren't going to let that happen to me either. With all of your pleasant comments and awesome stuff that you talk about on these videos. Let's see. So just been writing. If you follow me on Twitter, you at Bryan CP Steele, you would have seen that I officially submitted like a legit pilot and synopsis for a streaming TV show on the DC Universe Network. So it's no secret I'm a giant DC fan, as you can tell. But I've had some ideas rattling around in my head for, if money and opportunity were no object. And when they put out the call that they said, hey, they're gonna be looking for outside ideas. And it's kind of a contesty type thing where it's like, everyone submits everything, and then in a couple of months we find out if we're on the short list. And if you're on the short list, you get on the shorter list, and eventually, if your dream comes true, you get to stand in front of Jeff Johns and Warner Brothers executives and go, I would love to make this show. So, again, it's a pipe dream. I'm dreaming big. I'm hoping for the best. But in all honesty, I think it's a really good idea. I can't share it, obviously, because it's part of a pitch, it's part of a pilot, and it's part of the submission. So, I guess just wish me luck. If you do the whole prayer thing, rock and roll. I would never tell someone not to. But yeah, it would be really awesome if I could make a legitimate contribution to the DC Extended Universe. But either way, I spent some time on that this week, and then I, aside from my regular duties with Crafty Games and Big Child, I have started a new wondrous adventure for Dungeon in a Box. So the reason why I'm kind of highlighting and saying wondrous adventure the way that I am is because I have been, I was fortunate enough to do an earlier wondrous adventure, and the way that these wondrous adventures are, they're basically one-shot kind of box within a box. And what happens is the guys at Dungeon in a Box will send a map. So they always send maps with their products, but they'll send an extra map with one of the boxes if you're a subscriber, and in that box there will also be basically like a web link that says, "Hey, go to this, this special place. As a subscriber, you can get this special PDF," and the PDF goes with that map, and it is a little one-shot adventure. The last one we did was All Souls Day, and that was basically our like spooky Halloween adventure. And the way that works is that it's just, you can insert it into your campaign however you feel, if you're the right level, or size it up or size it down however you need. But it's basically just a little like free PDF for subscribers, and then you get one of these maps. You get one of these cool maps to go along with it, because the maps go with scenes from the adventure. Just like with the regular Dungeon in a Box stuff, except this time it's all in PDF and not print form. The reason why that's important is because, as far as I know, that's the first time that the Dungeon in a Box guys have ever done one of these sort of PDF wondrous one-shots. And it seemed to have gone over pretty well. People seem to be enjoying the idea behind it, and maybe subscription numbers hiked. Maybe some of you guys subscribed. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, earlier this week, I signed on to do another wondrous one-shot. This time, it is a festive holiday, I don't want to say a Christmas adventure, because that's not quite right. And I also don't want to be like, it's a Festivus adventure. It's not like that. But it's kind of, you take that whole holiday gift-giving spirit, turn it on its end, and give a hefty dose of evil. That's what's going to be the next wondrous one-shot. I'm super excited. And, again, I really enjoy these. And I enjoy them so much that I am going to put together a contest for this episode, the one that you're watching right now. Because there is, when I get a little further on, actually, you know what? I can do it right now. Let's do it right now. The esteemed and amazing Satine Phoenix. Satine is an acquaintance of mine. I dare say friend. That she recently tweeted something along the lines of, "Hey, she would like to hear more from ladies in the industry, of women in the role-playing game industry, to kind of get a backdrop," because pretty much from the beginning till now, it's been very male dominant, and there's no questioning that. So if you're out there and you're like, no, I don't know, there's a lot of ladies, it's been male dominant. We I would say, to the point where I would say 70% of the gamer populace that I see, if not more, is male, and industry wise, it might even be more so. But either way, Satine has kind of put a little call out for, hey, if you've got opinions on the role playing industry or opinions on role playing in general, and you're a woman, she wanted to hear from you. And my wife had commented on that Twitter thread that she should come on the show, that she should come on Tales from a Professional Nerd and talk about her experience as a new gamer, as a woman gamer, definitely surrounded by a bunch of dudes. And I mean, now that we got the family game running, it can even be as a mom gamer, like as a mother to role players that are with you, like I think there's a lot that she can say and a lot that can be said. So what I'm going to do as a way to inspire really cool conversation, I'm going to have Natalie on the show. I'm probably not going to record right here. I'll probably set us up in one of the other rooms or something like that, something a little more comfortable. And I'm going to ask her, I'm going to basically do an interview. I'm going to do some, I'm going to just read off some questions to her, and get her opinion, kind of her opinion as a woman gamer. And I think that will be very cool. I think that's going to be a fun interview, and it'll be neat to get her opinions on things, because I know that she's probably going to get asked some things that I would not have otherwise asked, and that might be neat for me to know, as generally her dungeon master and her fellow, the kind of the guy who got her into gaming. It'll be neat to kind of see this and hear this. So, the contest. La, la, la. That was weird. So, the contest, I want people to email me. Questions. Either email or Twitter or Facebook message me, however you can. I want you to give me questions to ask Natalie as a relatively new gamer, as a woman gamer, and as someone who is married to someone in the industry. I want these questions to be kind of important to those aspects, to see her responses. And what I'm going to do is, however many questions we get, I'm going to put all of the question people, the question askers, questions, the sources of questioning, I'm going to put all of them in a hat, maybe this hat, and I will draw one out, and that person will receive not only a copy of the map from All Souls Day. It is a two-sided map. I'll show you the other side. Creepy cabin. Creepy circle. They will receive, I'll mail them the map, but I will also email them a copy of the PDF that goes along with it, as kind of a thank you for being part of the channel. Thank you for backing up the Dungeon in a Box stuff that we do. Maybe you'll see that and be so inspired that you're like, oh my god, I have to have it. I have to subscribe. So either way, that's gonna be the contest. Is one random question. And now I say random question because if you have multiple questions, send them in. Send multiple questions. I'm going to put each one. So if someone comes up with 10 really good questions, that's 10 chances that they have to get the PDF and the map, to get All Souls Day. So let's keep that in mind. We've got a week to come up with some cool questions and get them to me. More importantly, I'm going to try something. Here we go. We're going to try something. Here is my email and my Twitter handle and my email address for you to send the questions to. I hope this works. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to work or not. We're going to try. We're going to see if it can do the thing. I'm trying to play around with some more fun stuff to do, putting up words and links and things. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if it will or not. Either way, I will put my Twitter and my email address in the description of the video just in case. But yeah, so please send me as many questions as you want for me to ask Natalie. And barring questions that are either don't make sense or perhaps are of an off-color nature, I'll ask them when I do the interview of her next week. So, and then I'm going to make sure that Satine gets a copy of the video, and I point out to her that, hey, this is something that, you inspired me to do, and so come up with something cool. All right, that's what I'm hoping. That's cool stuff. Cool stuff is what we're looking for. Speaking of cool stuff, before we get into the video, the meat of the video, we always like to talk about, that's right, this show's sponsor, Armor Class 10 Apparel. And today I'm wearing my Magic Missile 3D4 t-shirt done in a similar, seems very Metallica-ish, those cool edges and flamey things. So this shirt is awesome because, and in fact, actually at breakfast this morning, my stepdaughter, who is just now starting to play D&D with us, asked, she goes, why are there little, rocks flying? What are the little rocks? And I was like, oh, well, because Magic Missile is one of the oldest D&D spells. It's a wizard staple since the beginning of D&D, and for the longest time, for a great chunk of time for D&D, when you cast Magic Missile, it fired 3 D4 plus 1 magic missiles, pew, 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 and then you got more as your level got higher. And she was like, oh, okay, I get it. And I was like, do you get it, that the little things are D4s? And she goes, yeah, because you got the 4 sides thing going on. So she understood, and it's a cool t-shirt. So this is my choice for this week, because today's topic is role-playing game must-haves. And for anyone who knows me, especially my wargaming companions, I hate with a capital H and an umlaut over the E to make it hat. I really, really don't like anything in a game that is a must-have. That is if you're going to lose, you're going to do bad, it's going to be terrible if you don't bring it. Or if you don't make this selection, or if you don't choose this unit or this whatever. I hate being shoehorned in that way. But aside from, you can't play the game without them. Like, for instance, if you're going to play a war game, a must-have is your army. You must have the miniatures. Or proxies. Or something. Because you can't just use your imagination and be like, oh, my guys are over there by the tree. Oh, no, you killed them. It doesn't work that way. You're playing a war game, you need the war game pieces. A must-have if you were playing a role-playing game. A character. There you go. That's pretty much whatever the game system is. If you're playing Dread, you need a Jenga tower. If you're playing D&D, you need your D&D dice, or a dice rolling machine if you use those or whatnot. If you're playing poker, you need to have a poker deck. If you're playing Magic the Gathering, guess what? Gotta have Magic the Gathering cards. Those are must-haves. Those are the things that make the most sense, because if you don't have them, it isn't that you can't play the game well, it's that you just can't play the game. Gamers being hyperbolic as they are, what ends up happening is we end up finding out that it isn't that you must have X item or X trait or X ability or whatever. It's just that the game is a lot easier, or you are more successful in the game, or you're more likely to succeed or to be victorious if you do these other things. And that has since turned into that it's a must-have. That if you don't take it, why would you ever take it? Or why wouldn't you ever take it? If you don't, it's just a mistake, and you screw the pooch. It's the worst. You shouldn't have done it. So today's episode, we are talking about must-haves, but it's a little tongue-in-cheek. Okay? Hang on one second. It's not like a must-have as in, if your wizard doesn't have the magic missile spell, you're terrible. It's more along the lines of, I want to talk about a bunch of stuff that kind of makes sense, that is good to have, that are tropes for a reason. There's a reason why a lot of early starting half-orcs like to have a great axe. And that's because the great axe, as per the rules, has a d12 base damage. And something that the orcs can do is they can, on occasion, roll an extra die of the type of damage that their weapon does. And so that means that if they were doing it with a dagger, they get an extra d4. If they were doing it with a longsword, they get an extra d8, d10 if they're using two hands. Or they can just say, if I make sure I'm using my great axe, it's always a d12, and it's an extra d12. And at first level, 2d12 plus obviously probably some kind of strength bonus worth of damage, that's something. That's an insane amount of that's ferocious. That's the kind of thing that second or third level characters kind of shy away from. Be like, you know what? I don't like taking 24 points of damage. That could kill me right out. That's bad. So yeah, I think that falls into the category of something that has become, the half-orc barbarian with a great axe has become a trope, because the rules lean very heavily toward that being a very useful combination, especially at low levels. Magic Missile is, again, I refer to the shirt because wizards with Magic Missile, and I specifically mean wizards, not warlocks, not sorcerers, but wizards with magic missile, that is a solid way to pad your spells, to have a very distinct, magic missile not needing to roll to hit. That's huge at low levels. That could be all the difference between the heroic victory or that one guy about ready to eviscerate your friend. If you decided, magic missile doesn't do enough damage, scorching ray, or not scorching ray, ray of frost, or one of the other better dice sort of shooting attack, ray attack, that kind of spell could really inflict more damage rather than a bunch of d4s. But you could miss. You could screw up and I missed everything, and then now my buddy gets coup de grace and everything is done. Whereas with a magic missile, you can go and pop, pop, pop. The only difference is that if there's no attack roll, there's no way to kind of, I'm going to use my freezing ray to zap the potion in that guy's hand. I don't want him to heal, so I'm going to freeze his potion, or use use a scorching ray to blow up or to light the fire in the fireplace. Magic missile, because it doesn't have a roll to hit and there's no saving throw involved, it just says the target gets struck for X amount of damage. And in the letter of the law, that means that your target needs to be an actual target. You can't be like, I magic missile the table, or I magic missile the windows out. unfortunately doesn't work that way, based off of how the definition of spells of hostile targets are considered just that. The spells that can affect everything in an area or a particular item or whatever will specifically say so. Which is why I think that Magic Missile is a great spell. It's a solid contender for if you've got an extra first level spell slot, take it, because it will be useful. Like, there's no question. That's basically like saying, hey, could you shoot 3 small crossbows at a foe that will hit automatically at once or twice a day? Would you be okay with that? Yeah, of course I would, because that's basically what Magic Missile is going to do. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so the reason why this topic became kind of important to me today is because I'm gearing up, I'm ramping up. Now I'm writing more of these Dungeon and Box adventures, which we have in there a combination of, here is an old fantasy trope that is the old standby. There's the dragon in the lair, and he's got a treasure hoard, and or there's this princess or prince or fairy minion that is needing to be rescued. A lot of those tropes exist because they're fun to it doesn't require a lot for you to look at your players and go, okay, the dragon is holding the fairy queen hostage. Everyone kind of closes their eyes and go, all right, cool, I get it. Like, there's not a lot in the way of getting your brain around the concept. Whereas some of the other stuff that we do with the Dungeon and Box, and especially in some of the later ones, is we have some encounters and some situations that are so far off the map, that are so far off the book, that we make up our own rules for it, because it would take us like tomes worth of stuff to try and come up with the actual rule set. So we make our own sort of system in the moment. And getting ready for this weekend, getting ready for session 2 for my family game, for the game with the kids, it is something for me that I have to remember. I'm dealing with 11-year-olds. So the old tropes, the old standbys, the old stereotypes, they not only are going to exist, but they're probably going to be prominent, because these, I don't want to, I'm not trying to say that my kids aren't smart and they couldn't figure out a deeper nuance, but I think that especially when they're still trying to figure out how to role play and when to have their character do something as opposed to them as a player, I think that using those old tropes, using those old must-haves, it's a good way of getting them ready to think for themselves. Getting ready for them to get into a game and go, all right, now normally it's like this, but I have a feeling it's more like this. I want them to start doing some problem solving and some kind of free thought. And the only real way to do that is to get them started on the stuff that everyone should know, quote unquote, and then slowly move them off the path and get them to ask questions. So let's say a good old-fashioned trope that they're dealing with right now in their game is goblins, is goblin raiders. Goblins that have hit this farm, killed some livestock, stole the big long-haired oxen, and ran away with the bodies of those 2 farmers. And that's a pretty, I think that you could probably go through and look at old D&D books, novels, some off-brand adventure arcs, Pathfinder. You could look at just about anything fantasy that has goblins in it, and there has probably been a scenario where the goblins have raided a farm or a farmhouse and made off with something or someone. It's a pretty common thing, and it was very easy for me and easy for the players to digest, because again, for David and Natalie, it was a no-brainer. Oh, okay, yeah, goblins came and took the stuff. But the kids, they wanted to do more research. They wanted to know, oh, hey, is there someone in the basement? Is there someone in the attic? They had this idea that there could be more to it, because this is their first time dealing with the goblin trope, and I love it. I get to see these old standbys, these old tropes through their eyes, through them the first time. So when I'm writing this scenario, when I'm writing this arc for them, I have to remember not to get too wheels within wheels. Kaiser Sose is behind the dragon. I need to make sure that I make the plot fun enough for my grown-ups, but simple enough, or rather stereotypical enough, that the kids can just fall in line and go, oh, I've seen movies like this. It's like I've seen this cartoon. There's a cartoon where something similar to this, this happened. I understand it, and that's the goal. That's what using some of these tropes and stuff really kind of comes down to it. Let's see. Again, I didn't make a list or anything, because I wasn't just going to come up here and be like, and number 1 is this, and number 2 is this, and number 3 is this. I just kind of wanted to ramble and freeform talk about the importance of some of the stereotypes, and also the importance of sometimes breaking those. It could be a lot of fun to remember that dragons in Dungeons and Dragons, anyway, in D&D, dragons are sentient creatures. They're possibly the higher end of sentience. They are extremely intelligent creatures, and with intelligence comes free will, and with free will comes the ability to shift your alignment. And this is one thing that I have fought for in D&D for as long as I can remember, is intelligent beings should never be bound by solely having one alignment. It could be hard to shift away from it because of your upbringing, because of your instincts and that sort of thing, but it shouldn't be, oh, all gold dragons are lawful good. Oh, all red dragons are chaotic evil. It shouldn't be that way, because there's nothing that says a gold dragon couldn't decide to go ham on the local villagers and shift opinion and become an evil despot. That, like, these things happen. And I think, especially as players get older and get used to things, where they start to go, oh, okay, it's a village of gnolls, they're horrible, let's raze them to the ground. And when they get in there and realize that these are gnoll refugees that ran away from their village because the ogres came in and crushed everything, and these guys are just licking their wounds, they're not necessarily evil, or at least they're not doing anything evil right now. So do the murder hobos, i.e. the player party, comes charging in and just slaughtering these guys wholesale? Or do they find out what's going on and possibly make allies out of a very unique and interesting race in order to get more intel and take on the ogres, possibly even returning these gnolls to their rightful place in their home village or whatnot? So there's a lot of things that you can do. I play in a game right now where I am a nefarious person. I am a Yuan-Ti assassin who is so noble it hurts. And the rest of the group quite often just disagree with me as a matter of fact. Oh, the snake man from the culture of death, let's ignore him. But we have landed in a situation where the local lord of the land is a vampire. Like, there's no question. He is a full-on blood-sucking, nightmare-riding vampire. And he is also the lord of the land. And it would be very easy to fall into that role-playing must-have of the vampire as an evil monster. and he comes down and he, wherever you see him, he's an evil monster and he's doing evil monster things. It might take a little more skill, and it might definitely take some more patience on behalf of the players, but that creature could be beyond where you're currently at in capacity. Like, it might be an amazing ruler. It might be ruling this kingdom with not even an iron hand. It's just, I rule because I have to, because I'm the oldest creature here, the most powerful creature here, so I'm ruling this kingdom. And by disturbing that, sometimes the player characters might be bucking the system because they're used to, all vampires are evil monsters and must be destroyed. Obviously, he's sneaking down into the village tonight and draining all of the virgins. That doesn't have to. I have an itch right in the middle of my eye. Ow, ow, ow. I don't even know what happened. Maybe a dust mote or something. Ouch. Ouch, ouch. But that's one of those things where players that know the monster manual, they know Vampire Lord is lawful evil, and they know that he is going to have these patterns and these things that he does. And boiling it down to that thing, that this is what the book says, this is what the game requires us to do, I think it shows why these must-haves are not always the greatest. Because how great would it be for this, crazy evil vampire guy to come to the party and go, you know what, I have the solution to all your problems, and I promise not to feed on you. I promise, you are free to walk around in our lands. Just, realize that, come sunrise, I will be feeding on someone in my castle. Leave me alone, and we're gonna be good. And that's the thing, is that, yeah, there'll be characters that'll be like, oh no, do not suffer the vampire to live. But I really do think that there would be more people, more humans, or more sentient humanoids that would be like, he doesn't seem like that bad of a guy. Like, he's doing his own thing. He's got food restrictions, but so does everyone. Like, that's where turning that trope on its end. Getting these people. Don't have the vampire guy be scheming in the background. Don't have him being like, yes, as soon as you're alone, I will devour you. Ignore all of that. Literally make him likable. Make him, offer food, offer wine, offer everything. And, some of the staunchest players who are so used to those, here's the trope, here's the must-have, here's how it's going to be, they're going to stay away from the wine, they're not going to look him in the face. You as a DM, you can start giving them disadvantage on their on all their social roles because they're doing this number. No, don't look at him. I sit in the shaft of sunlight. All right, well, he obviously knows you're doing that on purpose, and now you're a jerk. So there's a lot to be said for recognizing some of these tropes and these stereotypes, so you as a gamer can get out of that box. Take magic missile. Yeah, it's an awesome spell. I love it to death. But maybe make a wizard who doesn't take it, who uses a crossbow, who uses a crossbow. Instead of shooting these magic missiles, he loads up a legit missile, and maybe change it up a little bit. Instead of taking magic missile, have him cast True Strike every other round. That you got a wizard there who's like, la 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 la, thunk, never misses, and that could be amazing. That could be a really cool character concept that you avoided by not just taking the easy way out and going to be like, magic missile, that's where it is, or take both, whatever. But that's the thing, is that I think there's something to be said for, wizards have very few hit points, and they don't have a lot of weapons that they can use proficiently. But at the end of the day, depending on your stats and depending on the skill in which you use them, you could make a heck of a fighter out of a wizard. He or she's not gonna be the giant brutal tank that you might want them to be, and he's not gonna be a Cuisinart that runs forward and kills 8 goblins, but he might be the one that stands in the hallway and then also on his off turn flings up the cloud of daggers to take care of those 5-6 goblins that the regular fighter might have been able to chop up. And then also on his turn, he cuts somebody down. There's all kinds of ways to get around that stereotype, and get away from the must-have scenarios. For instance, let's see. I get a lot of heat from a lot of my players who have been playing with me for a long time, a lot of my friends, because I enjoy to make characters that are extremely fish out of water. I'm the one that if when we played the Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game, I played a Dothraki. When we played a Conan role-playing game, I played a cannibal tribesman. I'm very big into... if I like the idea of your society, I don't care where it's from. I can pick you up. I'm going to pick you up and put you into this situation, and I'm going to explain to the game master or the dungeon master, hey, my dude's a little weird. Keep that in mind. Stuff is strange, and hopefully we'll be able to make a really cool plot or a really cool interaction along the way. Or during downtime, sometimes I find it very interesting to have characters talk to each other about their backstories. Because unless someone is really just kind of playing the numbers, they should have an idea of what their character was or did before venturing out into the wilds. And it can be a lot of fun to discuss sort of your motivations for your character's motivations. Why did you leave behind the spell jamming life to stay on Greyhawk? What makes you and this Dragonborn your best friend? And if you just always stick to the stereotypes and you just stick to the must-haves, you're never gonna get to spread your wings. You're never gonna get to see and have those interactions about how strange you are. In another game that I play, I'm playing a halfling monk that is drunk, the way of the drunken fist. I'm a diminutive Jackie Chan, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially when taking into consideration, I'm hanging out with these royal knights and stuff, and I'm this drunk halfling that occasionally decides to go ham on somebody and punch them until they're unconscious. And if I were the kind of person that would have stayed with the concept and be like, all right, well, I'll go the halfling, maybe a rogue or a ranger, I'll stay with the small and stealthy aspect of it, not loud and boisterous. So I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but the whole idea here is, if it's something that your princess is, you're saving the princess in the castle or saving the prince in the castle, then maybe as a DM, turn it upside down. You get there to go save them, and they don't want to be saved. Maybe that kidnapping that the village said, oh, my daughter was kidnapped by the local barbarian, and you got to go deal with those, that barbarian clan and bring my daughter back, and you go find them, and she's like, no, I ran away with Thugrak because Thugrak promised me glory and riches, and my dad promised me milk and cows. That's a cool moment for the players if they're expecting to break into this place and sneak in and rescue the princess, and princess, I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you. If they're looking for that, and instead they get this dreadlocked, angry, war painted daughter of the farmer swinging a club at you saying, get out of here, I don't want to go home, this is my home now, you've got a completely different dynamic, especially if you were somebody that like you've got a paladin in your group, and he swore swore on his sword hand or whatever that they would bring home this farmer's daughter. Bring home this kidnapped person who ends up not being kidnapped, and now you've got a whole other adventure arc ahead of you, because not only is she fighting you, but okay, or you knock her out and you bring her home, she's probably going to run away again, or worse yet, you get discovered by the barbarians, who now you are kidnapping the person who you thought you were rescuing from the kidnap. This is all topsy-turvy, born out of the idea of going to save the princess. This is what I meant by a lot of role-playing must-haves can be turned on their end. You can flip them upside down, change it up, one of my Dungeon in a Box ongoing game, I have a character that is being played in there by one of my best friends, Og, who is a very orky half-orc bard. And a lot of people will be like, well, that's weird, charisma, it's not their strength. So, okay. But he's got a great story, and it's fun. It is so much fun to watch Og plow through the social niceties to get it. He's not the kind of person that is going to sweet talk the guy at the door in order to slip into a bar and then play. He's the kind of guy that looks at him and goes, I'm not paying 2 copper, you're paying me 2 copper, or I'm going to play out in the street and steal all your people. These are some of these cool concepts, these cool ideas that I think are extremely not necessary, but that they are really important to test our thoughts and to test our patterns, because the last thing you want, there's something to be said for complacency. There's something to be said for, the old standby is working all the time. But the last thing you want is your entire game or your gaming group or every game that you start to just be a trope fest and just be, oh, here's another, oh, wait, the livestock is missing. Let's go find the livestock. Oh, wait, his daughter is missing. Let's go find his daughter. Oh, wait, the hero in town, the champion in town, was found dead in an alley because he had ties to the Thieves Guild. There's all these things that you've probably seen a dozen times before, or seen your characters get framed for something, or you've seen these things happen before. And yeah, it's cool because they're the pillars of storytelling. Generally speaking, you recognize that that's something that has been done before. It can get old, and it can leave some of your players. It can leave your players where their engagement in your story is halfway. It's always kind of lacking because they don't need to engage in your story. They know your story because they've played it before. And I think that is my biggest component away from having role-playing arc must-haves in a game, because you never know. The whole point of these things, the whole point of us playing these games is to have fun and to keep all of the to tell the good story and to keep everyone happy and involved. And if you just do the same thing again and again, new Chronicles, same idea. New Chronicles, different characters, same idea. These are issues that I think that a lot of DMs won't recognize until they've been through it 2 or 3 times, or worse, they start setting up a plot for somebody and one of their players just goes, oh, it's this one again, and does the thing, and you go, oh, well, no, it wasn't. It's not like that at all, because you figured out my plans and I have to change things on the fly. Traditions are cool, and that's a big plus, but there is also something to be said for making sure that your game is not just stereotype to stereotype to stereotype. And especially if some of those stereotypes and some of the depending on the game engine that you're playing in or whatever, some of those story types or storyline those stereotypes could be hurtful, could be ignorant to the people around you, and you don't want to overstep that kind of boundary, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you've got to apologize. Oh, hey, I'm sorry, these orcs are super racist. You don't want to put yourself into a situation where the fact that you are breaking the mold, or the fact that you are kind of testing waters, is a bad thing. You want to be able to feel out that that plan and go from there. All right, so we talked about a bunch of stuff. Mostly it's been about the reasons why must-haves are, they exist for a reason. They're good to have. They're a good easy grasp or an easy chew. But bucking the system is probably, in my opinion, better and more challenging to a role player. But let's take one last second before we move on to realize that it is also, some of these tropes are here as learning tools for parts of the game. If you are in a situation where you've got to sneak out of town or sneak out of prison or whatever, it teaches your players that not everything has to be a fight, that stealth and sleight of hand and acrobatics and things are also very useful. Whereas if it's just a basic hack and slash, dungeon crawl type game, some of that stuff's irrelevant. It doesn't matter how conversational are. If you got 10 ghouls in a underground tomb coming out trying to bite your face, it's going to be swords and shields time. Let's deal with these ghouls. So that's kind of where I'm at on the idea of anything as a must-have, and specifically we're talking about role-playing games, because in things like board games and war games and things, miniatures wargaming, I think that term you have that term come around quite a bit. Well, you have to take this or you're just not competitive, or why would you only take 2? If you owned 3, you should always take 3. That I think that's a different style. It's not creating a stereotype. It's not creating a stereotype. It's exploiting loopholes and exploiting weaknesses in the rules design that forces people to want to take this or multiple of this, instead of looking at my collection and saying, what do I want to field today? You have more along the lines of someone looking at a collection and go, what's going to win for today? And I think that is also a big reason why people need to be held accountable for their actions, and where they fall into that sort of stereotype, backing it up, ignoring it, smashing it, whatever. I just think that there is a really cool mix of things, of old tropes and must-haves, combined with the new stuff and unique imagery. That's what really makes for the best stories and the best arcs, is a kind of a combination of the two, without being so far out there that you don't understand what's going on half the time, and without being so elementary that you can guess the end of the story before you're even halfway through the plot. So that's where I'm at. I know this is kind of a rambly episode, and that we went all over the place. Next week, again, we're going to do the cool. I want you to send me the messages, send me the questions to that my email address or my Twitter about what we want to ask Natalie in her interview, and I will announce on the video next week who is going to win that free PDF and the poster map, or the map from All Souls Day. But until then, I hope today was not completely erratic and crazy. I know it was a little weird. I tried some new things. I tried some editing. It's probably it's going to be a little weird. But you know how it is. We all do our part to make sure that everybody's having a good time. I'm hoping that you are continually having a time, that you'll comment, you'll send me questions, like, share. You know how it is. Got to get those eyes on the YouTube prize. We are really close. As of this video, we're really close to having 200 subscribers, which would be really cool to round that gap before next week's interview. So I guess until next time, you know how it is. Get out there, enjoy yourselves. Try not to let the hard stuff get you down, and more than anything, play some games. We'll see you. DM is running the story for the players. The players are helping with the story for the DM. You got to kind of collectively work as a group. But I really do think that because of the fact that most vegetables don't need, they don't need skinned or anything like that, that I have no idea where I went with that. That was weird. Yeah, we're gonna have to retake on that one.